Hey, you've tuned into TC McCarthy. Thanks for watching. Listen, today we're going to talk about the concept of paratroopers and what will future paratroopers look like 100 years, 200 years, 300 years from now. Will they still be riding choppers into combat, or will they be dropping out of spacecraft to experience a hot re-entry and then land on some sort of alien battlefield? Well, I'm opting for the second. Hey, you've tuned into TC McCarthy, the most eclectic, handsome, and entertaining science fiction author on video. Today, we're going to be talking about paratroopers of the future, but before we do that, please, please, please buy my book, Tyger Burning. It comes out July 2nd, so pre-order it now. Pew! Did a video here explaining why pre-ordering is just so important to me. Paratroopers of the future. I'm a big World War II kind of history buff. Not as well versed in the history of World War II as many people on the internet, as I painfully have experienced multiple times. But still, I've always loved paratroopers, the 82nd, 101st Airborne, you know, the kind of history that goes along with them, how they transitioned from World War II to Korea and then onward into the Vietnam War, where they made the move to basically being air cavalry, you know, helicopter-borne troops that fly in groups, and then the helicopter peels off. I was really interested in the British concept of glider troops in World War II. So the concept was, if you just pull troops behind a C-47 and then release them over a certain area, the glider pilot can fly the glider in, skid to a landing on a safe landing zone, and all the troops will be intact in one spot to spill out and move forward to their objective. Because paratroopers, let's face it, in World War II, you were at the will of the winds. So a lot of times, if there was heavy flak or something, the C-47 might miss the target, might fly in a different direction, might fly too low. You jump out, and all of a sudden, all your men are scattered to the wind. If there's a strong wind, it might take you a long time. You may never actually reform your unit because everyone's scattered across the battlefield so far and so wide. So that's my basic historical rundown of paratroopers. I'm not going to get into how they were used in the beginning of the Afghanistan conflict, etc. But basically, what I want to do is move from the concept of actual paratroopers per se, meaning, you know, floating down on a silk canopy to land on a battlefield, and tackle the concept of what will they look like in the future. What if we run into a situation where we're conquering other worlds, or we're fighting some alien race? And we're well into science fiction now. I just want to make sure some of you realize that, right? We're firmly in science fiction territory now. What happens if we have to conquer an alien planet, and we don't want to just bombard the hell out of it and ruin it because we want to occupy it? We don't want it radioactive. We don't want, so there may be structures on the ground that we want to capture and get information intact on. In those situations, it might be beneficial for our future forces to have some sort of landing capability, whether it's a space marines who fly in a craft and land and then move on to the objective, or whether it's some sort of paratrooper force that actually drops people off from ships in the stratosphere or the upper reaches of a planet's atmosphere to basically scream downward and navigate to a particular spot, almost like a really high level halo jump, and arrive on objective on time, regroup, and move on to capture. Now, I like that second concept for a number of reasons, because if you're talking about drop ships, where one ship goes down through the atmosphere or a fleet of small ships goes down through the atmosphere, every one of those that gets blown up or taken out by air defenses, that's an entire squad, platoon, whatever the size of the ship is, gone. Wiped from the map potentially. If you're dropping people individually over a wide area, now you've got far many more targets, you've got small targets, and if you drop enough chaff or decoys or dummies, just go ahead and read Starship Troopers. They use dummies and decoys in those. A great concept. You know, kudos to Heinlein for throwing that in there. That's exactly what I would do. Now you've got the enemy kind of defense networks, however they identify incoming, human forces, is going to be filled with tiny dots, and they won't know which ones are real troops, which ones are dummies, which one is chaff. And so you would increase, in theory, the survivability. Now, could there be weapons that basically affect a broad area where that won't matter? That might be the case, yes. But in that case, you just spread out your drop pattern. And eventually, today, you can drop people in different areas, and they can navigate to a particular spot on the ground before they deploy their chutes and all wind up roughly in the same spot. So I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem, but I'm doing a lot of hand waving here. I can't envision the kind of weapon system that might be used in that context to get people, to kill people coming down so far away and cover a broad area. Now, if these people are coming down right over the air defenses and you've got some sort of plasma weaponry ready to hose the sky above, yeah, okay. Well, in that case, that's such a stupid plan. Those guys might deserve to die. I don't know. The point is, I think that we're going to see advances in that type of warfare, maybe not today, but in the distant future, because it will come back. That kind of insertion is still going to be in vogue, I think, hundreds of years from now, useful on other planets. And we already today are running experiments. I think there was a really famous guy who tried to break a world record recently, and he almost died because the higher you go, the less air there is, and the less air there is, the less you have to kind of push on and use to orient yourself in a particular direction. And so I think he started going into an uncontrollable spin. So there are those kinds of issues. There are speed issues. Once you get starting, without wind resistance, you can get going pretty fast. So that when you start to deploy your first chute, you got to make sure that that first chute won't rip away, won't get destroyed and tattered into ribbons simply from the velocity at which you're going. So there are those kinds of considerations, but all of those are overcomable, I think, by simple engineering. Give them a couple of simple attitude control jets to use to keep from going into spins. Engineering parachutes that won't rip that way is probably a simple task. It's probably already been done. So I really think we're headed in that direction. Tell me what you think. Talk to me about where you think we're going in the future of space combat when it comes to taking over alien worlds if we need to actually put troops on the ground. That's all I've got for this episode. Again, please buy my book, pre-order it, Tyger Burning. Pew, put a picture of it right there. End transmission. Hey, thanks for watching. This is T.C. McCarthy, the most handsome, eclectic, and entertaining science fiction author on video. Once again, take a look at my books. The links are below in the description. Buy them. Pre-order Tyger Burning right now. It'll help me out a lot with sales and getting on the bestsellers lists. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to the channel, and please, please, please hit that little bell icon as well. YouTube has made it very difficult for you, the viewer, to get updates anytime I do a video. So please hit that bell icon and you will get notified. Thanks again. See you soon.